Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 168 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Durk, as per usual. And this Vancouver Whitecaps offseason, underwhelming, disappointing, upsetting. You can say what you want about it. But this is another kick in the teeth, another kick in the balls. Just after 5 months, the DP midfielder they signed in September, Stuart Armstrong, is gone. He has been sold to Sheffield Wednesday of the English Championship.
Let's get that right. Sheffield Wednesday, not United.
Yeah, it's easy to get those two mixed up.
Yeah. Are we surprised? I mean, it took him a while to get the fitness. He got there. Like it did feel like he got there, but it's in like almost the last week of the regular season. Showed a glimpse of what he was able to do
in the playoffs.
And then it was, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, but with fish, there really wasn't much in the sea. And, it's like, are we surprised? In some ways, yes, because it felt like it came out of nowhere, but the rumblings were on the wall for the past few weeks. But, of course, many people dismissed them because English media, notorious for making stuff up.
Also, it was a 2-year contract. You're thinking, surely he's going to, honor more than, 20% of it, right?
Right. But as, I've heard from, a source, the biggest factor was his family. He has a young daughter, like less than a year-old wife.
Yeah.
And
I get it. I mean, having kids myself, when you want to be close to family. And separating that by any distance is tough. Separating it by, half the globe is
half the world away.
Very, very difficult. I get it. It just, I don't know. In terms of timing, it sucks. It kind of feels like this was always in the cards and that the Whitecaps were used just to keep up fitness.
Yes, because remember, in the summer, after leaving Southampton, Armstrong wanted to stay in the UK, and remember, he had a trial with Brentford.
Yeah, he also had other offers.
But he settled on Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Edgar from News Across the Galaxy. It's raining. Yes, we'll talk some Galaxy later.
Finally. You guys need... Hey, we got snow.
Yeah, I'd take the rain over the snow any day of the week.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
you know what? I can't even be mad or disappointed at Armstrong. He did what was right for him, and good on you. But it feels like there could have been more research or more investigation done by the team to figure out if this is going to be a good long-term fit. It's a DP signing. You only get 3. You want them to last. You want DPs to be something that you can kind of galvanize a team around. This wasn't that. And, we're going to look at it with, eyes of hindsight, but for me, this is more of it's a mark against the team and not the player.
Yeah. More so the team, because Axel Schuster did a little media availability though, like with the in-house media in Marbella, saying, yeah, this was always a possibility. Then if it was, then why did you sign him in the first place? Is what I'm asking.
Fans have been clamoring to fill up that third DP spot forever. It sat open for I don't even know how long, over a year. That doesn't mean you just fill it with the first one that says yes. And the thing is usually with signings, when we talk about it before with the Whitecaps, is we're waiting for something to happen. They're very, very pragmatic with their signings. They take a long time because they usually seem to do their scouting, do their research, their recruitment. This one, I don't know if you're going to have one that, maybe is the one mark against you, the one that, you missed something in the buildup. This is the one.
Yeah. Though at the time it looked like a perfect fit because he was what they needed.
It did.
And
maybe
it felt like a big swing.
You know what? It kind of feels like, the NHL, just as the trade deadline comes up, they're renting players, right? You want that player to forward the playoff push You know their contract's up. They might not sign with you for the next year, but you get them for those few months. That's what this felt like. It felt like the Whitecaps were trying to make a signing to get the push to get beyond the first round.
Which they didn't
quite get there because he hadn't played a game since the Euros. They didn't get past the first round again, so I don't know. I think you have to chalk this up to hopefully you learn your lessons for next time.
Yeah, but also the Whitecaps have a poor track record when it comes to DPs and not lasting long. It's like big marquee signings in some way that leave very quickly. Julian Gressel, he had his reasons. Max Crepeau had his reasons. Hwang In-beom left because, COVID. So many, impact players the Whitecaps had over the years.
Sergio Cordova, who was here for...
He's an impact player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, they did have another preseason game, their first win of the preseason. So we now have a win, a draw, and a loss. LMZ Cherkazy, I believe, of Ukraine.
I guess that's how you pronounce it. Yep.
2-0 win. Goal scorers are Vite and Gold. Brian White was back. So that was his first match after being with the Americans national team back in January. Assisted on the Gold goal too.
Yeah, which was nice to see. With the Whitecaps without Stuart Armstrong, wondering how Gold feels about his buddy going back to England. But I would assume, this is not a fact, but I would assume that Vanni Sartini being fired and the impending sale of the club also played a factor in his decision, but it's just so disappointing. A player that looked like he had a lot of promise, looked like part of the core, is gone, and the Whitecaps have another DP spot open should they go with the 3 DP route.
Back to
Still
square
very
one.
disappointing. Back to square one. Never a dull day with this club. Well, actually, never a rough day for this club.
That depends on your perspective, I guess.
Yeah. But looks like the Whitecaps are going to have another signing very, very soon. Not official, but French sources from France are saying this signing is pretty much a done deal or close to a done deal. Emmanuel Sabi, American forward from Le Havre of Ligue 1, who are dead last in Ligue 1 as we speak.
It feels like a bit of a reclamation project. He hasn't wowed people in France, and before that, he was in the Danish Superliga. So I'm guessing, being in the Danish Superliga, that Sorensen probably knows him. He was playing for Odense and then Hobro over there, 3 years apiece in each. He had one decent season where he had 8 goals in 19 matches. Other than that,
yeah, I'm gonna.
You can count the number of goals he gets in a year on one hand.
Yeah, single digits. So he's a striker / winger. So this could be the Fafa Pico, replacement, but it feels. Just look at these numbers.
I was looking at that too. Yeah,
not great. Except though, look at the green: tackles, interceptions, aerials. He's always had good defensive numbers thanks to this article from Caleb Wilkins at the third sub.
Yeah. But if you're wanting someone like in that Fafa role, you want someone that is dynamic in putting balls into the box. And that doesn't look like this guy.
Yeah, but Caleb says, keep in mind, Le Havre are terrible this year. That plays a factor into these numbers.
It does.
But this is another one of those what the hell sure signings.
Yeah.
Here's the numbers from his best season. 22-23.
Yeah.
I think it's the only good season out in Europe. But other than that, the last 2 seasons in France haven't been spectacular.
Yeah. We should mention this is not a done deal yet.
It's not official.
It looks imminent, but yeah. Again, we've talked American-born as well, so it doesn't count against international roster spots or anything like that. But again, it does feel lackluster.
Yeah. Again, what the hell? Sure, is my reaction to it. And sure, maybe as Caleb points out, he can light up MLS because he's experienced in France and Denmark and all those other places. But this again feels like another reclamation project. And this is not a young guy. He's 27 years old. So he's a player in his prime.
Yeah, entering your prime. That 27 to 31, 32.
Yeah. So, okay, sure. Maybe he can, like with Nelson, I believe Gold and White could form chemistry, and he could unlock something that he knew he didn't have playing with those two. But again, not the most exciting signing in the world. It's something though.
It's something. Other than that, really for the Whitecaps, they're going to finish up their preseason with one more match tomorrow against Swedish side, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, IF Brahma Podkarna.
I don't know.
A club that I know in terms of having a very, very strong youth program.
Yes.
A lot of players have come out of this club. Like, you take a look, it's surprising. Yeah. Right now, the preseason has been more about getting to know the coach. Now it's a matter of trying to figure out how to galvanize and become a team, figure out what that new philosophy is, and get ready and go forward. They will be back in Vancouver.
In a few days.
Next Wednesday is when they're going to be starting training back at UBC.
Yeah, and Champions Cup is end of this month.
Yeah.
It's coming up fast and furious, and the MLS season too.
Absolutely.
And for the Whitecaps, Sorensen plays like a 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1 in his preseason games. So we'll see how the players settle into that. So Armstrong's gone. Sabby's coming in. I don't know. There isn't much hope or excitement surrounding the Whitecaps right now, but the Copium says things could change, but things aren't looking good.
Yeah, it's just been, well, I shouldn't say the lack of information. There's been a lot, but it's just not been the information that we were hoping for. I don't know. I have an apprehensive feeling about this year on multiple fronts. Sale, you can wrap up as part of that as well, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, because if the Whitecaps start poorly again, people are not going to be happy.
I want to see what the first 10 games are like. Give me, you know what? 10 games, give me 5 wins.
I think I'll be happy with that.
5. I would be right now, based on what I see, I'd be happy with that. I'd be content with that. I don't know if I'd be happy.
I mean, yeah. So MLS, as mentioned, Galaxy. I don't know. This feel like it came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
So Galaxy have traded one of their star forwards, Dejan Joveljic, to Sporting Kansas City for $4 million, and that is the first ever cash for player trade in MLS history.
It also feels like it's a steal. Like, his market value is higher than $4 million.
Yeah, I thought this was a guy that would go over to Europe.
There was definitely that feeling, especially with his family connections and being over there. You got to wonder, what was that contract from SKC? Also, I don't know. We'd have to ask the Galaxy fellas. Did Joveljic want out?
From what I
mean, he just won the MLS Cup.
Yeah, and it just blindsided me. Like, what in the world? Like,
yeah, I mean, this was a very, very lethal attack. This is a big piece that's missing from Galaxy. It's going to be a very big hole to fill.
Yeah, let me just bring up the SKC press release. I mean, this is a coup if you're an SKC fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joveljic is DP now.
Oh yeah,
2027. I mean, $4 million for this guy. MLS Cup champion, one of the stars in MLS.
If you can get him for $4 million, I mean, that's just phenomenal in my mind.
I mean, look at what he did last year. Top 5 in goals.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the guys he's tied with.
Now, the thing is you also have to look at the players that he was surrounded with at Galaxy.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the same at SKC? It'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, SKC have, over the past few years, been a very underwhelming, disappointing team. And I believe attack is part of the reason why they been very lackluster. I mean, Johnny Russell, he's a free agent now.
Yeah.
Alan Polito, all those guys, they're not getting any younger. And I mean, they need that big fish, and Joveljic was literally that guy.
Oh, he's a great catch. And you know what? For how long they have him signed for, he is a guy that you can build around.
Yeah, I think he's their new
right in the prime of his career. You give him the right support around him. SKC is going to. There are a number of teams in the Western Conference that have made some interesting moves. East as well, but the West in particular. The Earthquakes, Seattle.
With the two Dallas guys, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good move for SKC. I am curious to see how Galaxy respond.
Yeah, and
they got some money to do it now, too.
I believe the Galaxy could find a player or two of quality to succeed Joveljic because they're the Galaxy. They have the money.
Yep. Also, it's LA. You can entice people to come to LA.
Yeah. Sunny skies in LA. Well, it's raining there, thankfully.
Yeah.
After all the wildfires, and hope any of our LA fans or listeners are staying safe after all that.
Not only that, but we had another MLS record broken. Atlanta United signing Emmanuel Latte Lath from Middlesbrough, $22 million, largest transfer for a player coming into MLS.
Yes, Atlanta are cooking. They
also just before that was it Almiron, right?
Yeah, they brought Almiron back.
Yeah, I mean, you put those two together, that's almost 35 million, right?
Yeah, 26-year-old Ivory Coast international, DP contract through 2028. Yeah, Almiron, Marinchuk, Love Janids, and now Latte Lath. Atlanta's cooking.
Yeah. Atlanta is looking to compete with their neighbors further south.
Yeah, I mean, after
they'll do it. They'll do it.
I mean, this is a team that's not afraid to spend the big bucks. Look, they lost Almada and Yokomakis last year.
Yeah.
They used that money to find solid replacements. Upgrades,
good on them. You know what? Good on them.
Yeah, I mean, 22 million. Plus add-ons, which is wild, an MLS record, and Atlanta's going to be a fun team this year, for sure.
Not to play against.
Not to play against. I think are they here this season? I believe they are. Or
I have to take a look at the schedule.
I can't remember
offhand.
Yeah. Oh, Orlando's. It's a name I haven't heard. Is that Marco Pasalic? I haven't heard this name in a while. It felt like this guy, Dortmund product. Huh. Orlando's making moves as well.
Yeah, so, that was very recent.
Yeah, like just now.
Yeah.
And then
that, yeah, you go.
This one too. It felt like it was inevitable, but thought it'd be for like next year. Cucho Hernandez, the big star at Columbus, is gone. He is off to Real Betis in Spain for, I believe, a huge fee. Let me just look it up here.
A decent MLS amount, anyway. Good move. Real Betis. They play out of Sevilla, I believe. They're one of the two teams in Sevilla.
Yep.
Usually not the one that normally gets a lot of the attention. Obviously, Sevilla and what they've been able to do in Europa League, especially when Emery was over there. But a very good move for the player, I think.
Yeah, I mean the player is going to try to elevate his game with Real Betis. Hey, he gets to play with Anthony, so that's something. And
Is it?
I mean, it's if you want to look at the meme perspective, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 million plus add-ons. Big loss for Columbus.
It is a big loss, but I feel Columbus is in a good enough place to handle it.
Oh yeah, and plus use that funds to
exactly right.
bring
I
someone.
mean, it's a little late in the game, preseason, whatnot, but maybe you wait until the summer. I don't know, but they have some movement. They have some room now. Quite a bit of room actually when you take a look at what they got for him.
I mean, look what he accomplished in like 2 seasons. You can tell this guy was too good for MLS.
Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah, and yeah, I believe position. Wilfred Nancy's good at making use of what he's got.
Yeah.
Because that's just the kind of coach he is.
Speaking of teams that have been cooking over the past week, let's move over to the NSL and the Vancouver Rise. 4 signings in the past week alone, which is great because we've got preseason for NSL starting next week, I believe.
Yeah. First one is a Canadian center back, 25 years old, Kennedy Faulkner, who was with Australian side Canberra United and also the youngest ever center back to play for the Canadian women's national team.
Yeah. 25-year-old American Filipino center back Jessica Cowart was again also in Australia with Perth Glory.
31 caps for Philippines. Yeah, including she played during the Women's World Cup when Philippines made it for the first time.
31 caps with the Philippine women's national team. So definitely a player for you to watch, hey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And hopefully to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. 34-year-old. This one
veteran.
Fullback Jalen Wright. Oh, sorry, Jasmine Spencer. My mistake. Number of teams in the NWSL, about 3 or 4 different teams with the NWSL. Also spent time in Australia as well as the other 2, Cyprus and Denmark. Over 200 games in the NWSL, though. Like this is a player that has been around a long, long time. Veteran presence, fullback, always nice to have, especially when you think of like how many youth are on this roster.
Yeah, 34 years old. She and Quinn, they're going to be the leaders.
Oh, absolutely. And the first signing, Shannon.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. The first signing they had. I can't remember the name now.
To
wrap it up, just earlier today, the announcement was released for 22-year-old Canadian fullback Jalen Wright. Has played with a number of schools in the United States in the NCAA. First professional contract.
Yeah, and not a bad start, Gets to start her career with a new team. Center back as well, I believe. Yeah, she played for Utah Valley and Fresno State.
Yeah. One thing I will take a look at with this Rise roster is, and it seems a little bit surprising, but when you take a look at the Canadians that they're signing, very few of them are from BC.
Which is
all from down east.
Yeah, they did. I was hoping they'd sign that girl who played for the Whitecaps women.
Hernandez Gray.
Her, and some Hunter.
Yeah,
but she's off to Toronto.
Gray, I think we talked about. She's now with Thumb Caio in Portugal? No, Sporting in Portugal.
Yeah, and Hunter's with AFC Toronto, which kind of stings.
Yeah, the thing that kind of makes me wonder about that is the Whitecaps are the one team in the NSL that have an academy to draw from. And it just, I don't know what's going on. Like, are they Are they lowballing players because they feel they can because they're part of the Whitecaps organization or whatnot? And
the only one I think they signed from the Whitecaps is McCaslin.
Yeah, not to say like there hasn't been none, but the strong majority have been from the East, and I just Shannon Wooler. That's who I was thinking about in terms of another.
So this is the Rise's roster so far. They have a team.
Yeah. We knew that this season you're probably going to have full rosters that are in the very low 20s, like 22 players, right?
Right.
It's getting there very quickly, and I think it feels like that the Rise, in terms of a cohesive roster, are further along than anyone else.
Yeah, though it feels like a team, not just the Rise, but the NSL teams are adding players every day or every hour.
Well, right now they have to. I mean, you're gonna when you start preseason next week, you got to have a roster together so that you can actually play and learn.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. A lot of Canadians, a few Americans. Although Coward's like Filipino American
because that's who she plays for nationally.
Japan as well, which is nice. Yep. Sweden and Wales. So mixture of different nationalities and ages. A lot of young players though. But it's nice to have Quinn and Spencer as
3 goalkeepers already on that roster. And if I remember right, at least 2 of them, if not all 3, are very young. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, and which one starts on opening day is also what I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
Absolutely. Other Canada soccer news, Alphonso Davies. The saga's finally over.
And he stays at Bayern Munich, signing in a contract extension until 2030. So after the rumors of him going to places like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man United, and whatnot.
Liverpool,
Chelsea.
Yeah.
He is staying in Bavaria.
I like this.
I do too.
I like it. I may have a bias. I have a problem with how Real Madrid conducts business. I have a problem with the guy who runs the show and the whole European Super League fiasco. I'm happy that we don't have a player entering into that.
Well, I'm glad he didn't go to the mess that is Man United.
Yeah, at that point, I just would have felt bad for him. Not only that, but I believe that the contract he signed makes him the second highest paid player on Bayern Munich behind Harry Kane.
Yeah. And
it's a beefy contract.
It's huge. I think this is good for Davies, and I felt like Davies' heart was to stay in Bavaria because company is building something cool, something good there, and he wants to be a big part of that, and he wants to be part of a new dynasty, a new generation, because Bayern has players of old, players of young. He wants to, help Bayern transition, but at the same time still be great, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he wants to be a key piece, I believe. And I think that's good.
Bayern, they're top of the league. I think they're clear by about 6 points. They've only lost 1 game in the league, same as Leverkusen. They're into the knockout rounds for Champions League. They finished 12th in that table. So they do have to kind of do the play-in. But they're competing on all fronts.
Yeah, and company's done well with what he has there at Bayern Munich, and congrats to Davies on the deal. 2030. That's hard to believe. It's 5 years away, and by the time that deal ends, he'll be 29-30.
Yeah.
It's just fitting for Davies to stay in red.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I know there's going to be people out there that think, you want to go to what arguably is the best of the best, the Real Madrids of the world, things like that. I feel like you're going to be tested more here. I feel like it's going to be more enjoyable. I'm happy he's staying.
Yeah, again, Bayern's building something for the future and now, and Davies is going to be a core piece going forward.
They need to get back to the higher levels of the Champions League, semifinals, finals, things like that. That's going to prove to people that he made the right decision.
Yeah, and the project at Bayern Munich. Well, I won't really call it a project. The foundation of Bayern Munich is appealing to him, so can't blame him for staying.
Absolutely.
Ismail Kone, who barely got any game time with Marseille under Roberto De Zerbi, he's joining fellow Ligue 1 sign Rennes on loan until the end of the season. Just give the guy game time.
He needs game time. It feels as if the relationship between him and De Zerbi wasn't really there.
No.
Who's I don't know if you can say whether there's fault or not. It just didn't work. I hope that this move gets him game time. Just get games under your belt, right? Just start playing. Get back to what it is we know you can do, right?
Right, because if he's not getting it at Marseille, might as well get it at Rennes.
Yeah.
Because we all know this guy has talent in the midfield. Just needs to display it.
And Rennes, I mean, they're just kind of hovering above those relegation spots. They have that relegation playoff spot. So,
they're just.
Hopefully, he's a player that can help them.
Yeah, and then maybe De Zerbi will realize what he's been missing. Although Marseille are doing, I guess, second in the table is pretty good.
Yeah.
Speaking of France, Jonathan Davies still can't stop scoring with Lille.
Third in the scoring table for the league.
Behind Ousmane Dembele and Mason Greenwood.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to Europe. So January transfer window is now shut.
What did Chelsea do?
More on that later. First, there was a game to be played. 2-1 win over West Ham at Stamford Bridge. Graham Potter's return to Stamford Bridge. To start, this was terrible because Chelsea couldn't finish. You could see the cries for a striker on Chelsea Twitter. Madueke had chances. Cole Palmer had chances, but they couldn't bury them. And to make things worse, West Ham scored first when Levi Colwill gave the ball away to Jared Bowen, and he beat Philip Jorgensen. I don't know. Colwill for the past month or so has been terrible, making all these poor mistakes and everything. I think that goes to show he needs someone like Wesley Fofana, who unfortunately is still injured, and Trevor Chalobah next to him for stability. I still think he's a good defender. He could be better, just 21, 22 years old. But these mistakes are really frustrating. Second half, much better. And that was because Enzo Maresca decided to make some early subs for once. Like 60th minute, making on subs. And one of those was Pedro Neto, who came on for Jadon Sancho. After a flurry of activity in the box, Neto buried the rebound in the 64th minute. I don't know, this guy needs to play more, like start, because he is clearly a quality player. And you saw it against West Ham. The way he was taking on defenders. He was smart with the ball, and he scored a goal too. So, Neto must start more. And then the winning goal, courtesy of Cole Palmer, though it went off Wan-Bissaka and past Areola in the 74th minute. So, it wasn't Palmer's goal. It was an own goal by Wan-Bissaka, but I still count it as Palmer's goal. Well, I'm not too sure if he meant that for even to be a shot. It looked like more of a pass. It was weird also seeing Cole Palmer play as a central midfielder and Enzo Fernandez higher up the pitch. I don't know. It just looked weird and at times didn't work, but in the end it worked out. I'm not sure why Maresca's hesitant to put Cole Palmer on the wing or even as a false nine. I'd do that. And Christopher Nkunku in the 10 where he belongs. I'd do that at some point. And Thank goodness Robert Sanchez was dropped for this game, and Philip Jorgensen started. Though he probably should have done better on the goal by West Ham, but for the most part, no heart attack inducing moves with the ball, no frustrations. He just did his job. And give the guy a run of games. Because his distribution was on point. And then Moises Caicedo all over the pitch, just all over West Ham, making passes, making tackles, just looking like one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And shout out to Mark Gue, 18-year-old striker they signed from Barcelona. Good at pressing. He needs to play more. If Jackson is not fit or on bad form, sure he's not the answer, but give this guy some games in the Premier League because there's a lot of promise with this guy, especially with the way he presses. So good win over West Ham. Chelsea are back in top 4 as we speak. And thankfully it didn't get any worse, but a win is a win. And then the next 2 games are against Brighton. One in the FA Cup on Saturday, and then on Valentine's Day in the league, both at the AMX Stadium in Brighton. So this should be interesting. All right, the window. Mostly outgoings. Ben Chilwell has been loaned out to Crystal Palace. His move out was inevitable because he hasn't played at all. Well, actually, he did in the Conference League just once. Good. I always liked the guy, but he was never the same after his ACL injury. Yeah. So he's off on loan to Crystal Palace. This one was weird. Axel Disasi was linked to Aston Villa, and then he was linked to Tottenham Hotspur, and then he goes on loan to Aston Villa. All's well that ends well, I guess.
Yeah. I think Spurs wanted him on a permanent, so that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think Disasi didn't want to go to Tottenham, so he went to Aston Villa instead. They finally got rid of Cesare Cassidy, a permanent deal to Torino, £12.4 million. And then another young midfielder, Carney Chukwuemeka. Shame, this guy was actually something before his injury. Loaned out to Borussia Dortmund. And then the weirdest, the most frustrating one, Joao Felix is on loan to AC Milan. After buying him for $40 million in the summer, he's barely played. Just a waste. An absolute waste of a player, waste of funds. And as much as I don't really rate this guy too highly, he has talent. And I think he fits Maresca's system better than Nkunku, but Maresca never really used him. So he's off to AC Milan to help with their goal-scoring troubles and their attack. And so Christopher Nkunku stays for now. Did they sign a striker? No. But they recalled David Datro Fofana from his loan Turkish side, Gotsepe. So that's a striker, I guess. It's something. But it's been reported that there were 4 targets for Chelsea. Victor Gyökeres, Liam Delap, Benjamin Sesko, and Evan Ferguson. Scratch Ferguson off the list because he's now on loan at West Ham. And Chelsea are reportedly looking to sign one in advance of the summer window. For me, Gyökeres is the number 1 target. Doesn't be big money though, but Delap is what they need because he's physical. He has a good box presence. And Sesko is also a guy that's good on transitions. But they actually did sign a guy permanently. 19-year-old Mathis Amugu, French midfielder from Saint Etienne for $12 million on an 8.5-year contract because, of course,
8.5-year contract.
Another unproven player.
This is weird to hear.
Yeah, this is like a hockey deal.
Yeah.
Another unproven player. It seems like they want this guy in the first team to be midfield depth for Caicedo and Fernandez. And since Lavia still has injury issues, that's something, I guess. I don't know much about this guy. I don't know how good he'll be, but another 19-year-old, another unproven player, not a needle mover, and it's kind of just a poor window overall. To get Chalaba back on loan. Sure, it's the January window, not much time as in the summer, but didn't really address any needs. Didn't really move the needle. Just one signing that was permanent, mostly outgoings, which is fine, I guess. But all loans, and didn't really address the strikers or center back issue. Goalkeeper is a lot harder though, because it's rare like goalkeepers move in the first team goalkeepers move in the winter window anyway. But a rumor
one.
You did because you needed one.
We needed one. We were on life support.
Yeah. And an interesting rumor is Dortmund's goalkeeper Gregor Kobel, Swiss international, was winning the Bundesliga team of the season and Champions League team of the season last year with Dortmund. Fortunately, Dortmund aren't having a good season this year, and although he really isn't the problem there.
Yeah.
He's of interest for a summer goalkeeper signing, and I'd take him in a heartbeat because, he actually can save the ball and distribute as well. So, underwhelming window for Chelsea. But the race for top four is still open, and back-to-back Brighton tests for Tottenham. Win in the Europa League, and you actually won in the league for once.
It was a good week. I can't remember the last time I said that. Not only that, but new players coming in. Unfortunately, again, it's Tottenham, so we got more injuries to talk about. But let's start with Elfsborg in Europa League. Last game of the league stage. Good, frustrating game for a good part of it, but then the kids came in and they kind of blew this game wide open. Dane Scarlett, first ever goal for the top team with an absolute beautiful headed goal, diving header to get on the end of Kulishevsky's cross. Ayaji in the 84th minute, 2 minutes into his very first game ever, gets his first goal. And then Mikey Moore finishes it off in injury time. 3-0 win. Kind of flatters Spurs, let's be honest. It definitely wasn't like that for about the first 65, 70 minutes of the game, but nice to get the win. Spurs finish, I believe, 5th in the Europa League table. They don't have to worry about the knockouts. They're through. Happy. They finished 4th in the table, but, within a few points here or there. But Radu Dragusin, ACL, he's out for the season.
Tough.
So add them
another
to
injury.
Center backs. So I'm happy that Ben Davies is back, but that is the one center back we have, Ben Davies. And he's not even really he's a left back that became a center back.
So they have no center backs essentially.
Well, Romero and Van de Ven are close, but they don't want to
rush things.
Test it because they did rush it earlier in the season, and both of them lasted half a game. So they want to take it a little bit slow right now. Other than that, Brentford 2-0 win. Very, very nice. Own goal to start it. Corner kick from Son ended up going off the back of one of the Brentford players. It almost looked like it was going to be another goal for Son from a direct free kick, which he had a few weeks ago. But ended up own goal. And then late in the game, Mate Sarr finishes it off with a goal, I think in the 87th minute or something like that. Puts Tottenham into 14th, which is nice that they're not, in that bottom 15 anymore. They have a lot of space that they can move up if they keep winning. But I'm at the point right now that I just want them to get top 10. Even top 10 would be a miracle with where they are, because I think they're 7 points off that. Signings. Yes, They finally got Mattis Tell over the line. It looked like it wasn't going to happen. They had a deal finalized with Bayern Munich, but it was going to be up to the player. Player was walking.
weird.
Postecoglou was talking earlier today saying that he never said no to the team back then. It's just that this was a 19-year-old kid making one of the biggest decisions of his career. He wanted to take the time to do it, and he took the time.
Makes sense.
It's a loan to begin with. It was being initially reported that it was only a loan, but Spurs were able to get an option to purchase for 55 million euros into it. If that option is taken, it will mean a 6-year deal with the player, which has already been pre-negotiated. He is ready to be picked, but they're probably going to give him, I don't think he's going to be picked for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the second leg of the semifinals of Leagues Cup against Liverpool. So I don't think they're going to pick him for that. They also signed Kevin Danzo from Lens. This is a young center back. So they did bring in another center back. Loan option as well. Option to buy for £21 million. If that's picked up, it'll mean a 5-year contract. Again, he is available. This is a player that has a lot of upside. There were a number of teams actually looking at him. Spurs were able to get it done. I like that it's an option so they can kind of look at the player. He's going to get game time because with what's been going on with center backs for Spurs, I mean, they just need someone in there. I mean, Archie Gray has been playing there for how many games? He's not even a center back.
He's a midfielder.
He's a midfielder who's played right back, left back, center back, at least 3 games in all of those positions. And he's
more than as a midfielder.
He's done pretty decently with it. Jed Spence is getting a run, and he's actually showing why he was signed in the first place. So these young kids that are coming in, whether they are academy products or they're young that were brought into the team, they're getting a run, and I'm happy. I just wish it wasn't for the reason is that they're getting it, which is injuries. I don't want someone to be injured just to give someone else a shot. I want people to get a shot on merit. Other than that, 17-year-old Mason Malia from St. Pat's Athletic. St. Pat's had just played Whitecaps in preseason. The biggest transfer fee ever for a League of Ireland player, £1.6 million. So for St. Pat's, that's big money. Move is not going to happen for a year.
Makes sense. He's 17.
Yeah, he's 17. He's still going to be with St. Pat's. Move will happen in January 2026 on a 5-year contract at that point. But Tottenham made moves. Add Kinski to that. 4 moves in the January transfer window. 3 of them are players that are going to be playing right away. It felt good. The wins happened. We have Leagues Cup coming up tomorrow. They're 1 up in that, but it's back in Liverpool, so who knows? Anything can happen. And then we have FA Cup on Sunday, Aston Villa. So difficult games. We could be either advancing to the final of a cup and further in the FA Cup, or we could be out of half of our competitions.
Well, knowing Spurs, you never know.
With Spurs, you never know. But it was a good week. I haven't been able to say that for a while.
Yeah, that's just crazy to hear that from you.
Yeah.
Spurs and good week. It's like an oxymoron.
Pretty much right now, right?
We'll end it with some news out of the English National League. They write to the EFL board to demand 3 promotion spots to League 2.
Yeah, so all 72 clubs of the National League clubs, that's the National League and then the National North and South Leagues, have written asking for that extra promotion relegation spot of being from the National League to League 2, League 2 being the bottom of the EFL. Yep. Now, people that, understand promotion relegation, or if they've watched, the Wrexham documentary, you've heard that to get promoted from the National League to League 2 is the most difficult promotion in football. Okay. There's only 2 spots. One of them is only automatic. The other one is a playoff. Yeah. And on top of that, you have 24 teams in the National League, not 20. So there's more teams competing for those 2 spots. It's interesting to note, automatic promotion did not exist between these 2 leagues until 1987. this is good. I think it's good. It should happen.
Opportunity.
Well, it's more opportunity. It makes it more interesting towards the end of the season, and it kind of removes a little bit of that gateway feel, right? Like you have 3 promotion spots in all of the EFL club leagues. You have 3 promotion spots from the EFL to the Premier League, which is its own entity. Why not do it on the other side?
Yeah, and make things more interesting.
Yeah.
3. So
they've written to demand. We have no idea what's going to happen. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Nathan and I are both on Twitter. Joshua Ray00. Nathan's at Enduric. Also on Blue Sky as well.
Yep.
It's our names at B Sky Social. It's in the episode links. Terminal City FC YouTube. Also on Twitter and Blue Sky and Instagram. So follow our socials there. And continue to keep up with our writing for Area 51 Sports Network. And we'll talk to you next week. And hopefully we'll have another signing or 2 from the Whitecaps.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be very nice.
Yeah.
One of first team quality. So, yeah, I was hoping. That'll conclude this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.